I'm Narelle Todd.
And I'm Essie Susan Smith.
We are the self-publishing author and marketing duo that has sold over 2 million books. But we didn't start out knowing how to sell books. Fast forward past many failed promotions and a lot of lessons learned, you will see how we went from self-publishing newbies to hitting the New York Times bestsellers list and making the USA Today bestsellers list 19 times and counting. We created the Get My Book Out There podcast to give you simple yet effective marketing strategies to increase readership and book sales, so you know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, as well as some tips for staying mentally and physically well.
Let's get started.
And today we're kind of mixing things up because I am doing a boot camp that Narelle has designed called the Money Empowerment Boot Camp: How to Release Your Fears and Limiting Beliefs to Create an Elevated CEO Mindset. And I was so excited about working on this and going through the process that I told her, I said, okay, I have to interview you. I have to know how you came up with this and, kind of walk us through what this boot camp is like. It's not as scary as I thought it was going to be, but it's really got me fired up and ready to go.
Oh, good. That's part of certainly what it's about. Where it came out of. Oh, I started my own business back in 2006, and I thought back then that it was about needing to know and be an expert at different things. But I soon found out that the business journey of, for any business owner, it's about the mindset stuff. So, often I would see people who perhaps didn't know as much as me or weren't as experienced, but they just flew ahead. And it was like, what the heck, what's going on? And things kept coming up, and I was like going, okay, eventually worked out there were money mindset blocks, for me, and which led into some confidence issues. And so anyway, short story, there were some mindset issues there. So I started just looking at, well, how could I improve that? How could I change the way that I interacted with money and thought about money? And the Money Empowerment Bootcamp really is, I guess, the last 15 years of me having a look and just putting into practice things that I do on a daily basis, sometimes weekly and quarterly, around money. And, just to make sure that I'm as open as I can be to opportunity. Yeah, so that's where it came from. Personal experience of going, well, why aren't I getting money? But it started out as being about money, and many people think it's money, but it's never about the money. But that's where we think it is. That's where we start from. But part of the boot camp is to show you that by tweaking the money mindset, which is what you think the issue is, there's actually stuff behind that. And you might be chasing the dollars, or you might be chasing book sales, but it's actually something else behind that. Once you get a handle on it, the money takes care of itself, in effect. But, we start with where people are, which is usually around, I want money.
That's, I think, one of the things that I came off of, doing lesson one. I'm thinking, oh, this isn't going to be that bad. And, it comes off, where you're asking some really good questions, starting with, and like you said, it's about the money, but it's not about the money.
Yeah.
And it's about memories. It's about, positives and negatives. And, these mindsets that we get from our youth and we carry on. And we often find ourselves, maybe this is like you were saying, you were going, why are they moving up and I'm not, or they're making more than I'm not? It's that mindset. And we kind of tend to self-sabotage ourselves.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Or feel like we don't deserve it. We can't go above this level. And when I was writing down the answers to this, it was like, this is going to be a breeze. And then I realized, oh my God, this is one of the things I liked about it. You said, don't type it out. You have to handwrite it. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't used a pen in so long. My hand was like cramping by the time I got done. But it was, why did you feel it was so important that we write out the answers instead of type it out?
Yeah. There's actually a connection between handwriting and the brain, and you actually fire better, or it's a more lasting connection than if you type. So anytime you want something, that's why if you're learning something, writing it out actually gets it into your brain faster than, say if you were typing or some other way of doing it. So writing gives you that, that connection. And this is really what it's about, is looking at the connection. You want to not only discover what's holding you back, what the blocks are, but you want to connect with your next steps. You want to connect with putting into place a healthy pattern or replacing that block with something healthy. And handwriting enables you to do that quicker and better. Yeah.
And, those building blocks that you were talking about, I noticed that, the first thing you want us to do is to look at our earliest memory and that correlation with money. And then you walk us through the next step, where what would it be like if you were rich? How would you feel? How would that change you? Or how do you think of other people? Do you have this negative mindset about it? And then, you talk about dreaming. And that was one of the things I liked. It was like, dream about what your ideal position would be, but you're taking us through step by step by step. It's not jumping like I was from one to step 3. You take us through each one, and it's like alleviating my fear, then believing in myself, and then understanding what that belief means, and then dreaming about it. And then I love the one where you're like, make it happen. This is one of the things. How have you done that in your life?
Yeah. I grew up I'm 5th generation farmer family. So for me growing up, my great grandparents were alive. And I saw 3 generations of farmers operate, and it was very much feast and famine. Mum and Dad at that stage had a sugarcane farm, and we had really good years. And you always knew when there was a really good year because Dad got a big boat. My dad loved fishing. So for him, it was, well, I'll get a good boat. And then, if it was a bad year, if he sold the big boat and we were in a tinny, I'm not sure what that is in America, a smaller aluminium boat, or no, how do you say aluminum? Anyway, a smaller boat. And so you kind of, you knew what the finances were like, even though as kids you weren't necessarily privy to those conversations. But, looking back on it, you saw. But there was definitely feast or famine. And, I left home at 18, went to uni and all that sort of stuff. And when I first started working, I noticed the same pattern in my own, even though I was getting a consistent income because I was employed by somebody, and Mum and Dad always were onto us that we needed to get a university education and we needed to go work for a company because you got the consistency. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, all 3 of us kids, that's what we went and did. And I think for me, it was right at that time, but I think being an entrepreneur is more me, but I didn't think that was possible because I needed to get a consistent income. But even though I had a consistent income, I still replicated, my 4 generations of farmer people before me of feast and famine. And I found that really fascinating, that like, what the heck is going on? Why would this be happening when I've got a consistent income? I know how to budget. I'm really good at budgeting. Yeah. And, I work really hard and all, so I've got all that work ethic and all of that stuff in there, but yet it was still this feast and famine sort of thing. Investing in certain ways I didn't do because there was fear there. So I missed some really great opportunities. I also, I grew up in a conservative religion, and very much it was you gave 10%. So you tithed 10%.
Yes.
So you always gave money to help other people. And I think that was taken, well, certainly my great grandmother took that bit to the extreme, and I think pretty much gave everything away. But coming out of that was then also a sense of you helped other people before you helped yourself. It was almost like it was wrong to help yourself, or it was wrong to amass wealth because there were people in need. And so all of those things, and looking back, I look at it and I go, but when you're living in it, you don't recognize necessarily that's the mindset or that's the beliefs that you've brought with you from childhood. But they certainly played a big part on the positive. I can budget like nobody's business. I can, I'm really good. Australians love to travel overseas, and because we're so far away from everybody, we tend to go for a long period of time. And so in my late 20s, I went and based myself in London for 3 years and backpacked and did all of that, worked in London, got money, backpacked, and went off, saw the world, saw heaps of the world. And part of the good thing around the money management is that I got to see so much of the world because I was so good with my money and budgeting, and I can travel like nobody's business, you give me the budget,
budget.
and I'll get you the best experience possible out of that. So there were some really great things that came out of childhood, and there were also some things that held me back. So I use the tactics that, I share with people in this boot camp of how I changed my mindset around that to being one of allowing wealth to come that it was okay to have wealth, because that means that I can, help other people. I still do a 10% tithe. I'm not in the religion anymore, but I still believe that it's right and it's good and to help my fellow human beings. So why wouldn't I? So I still give 10% to various causes that, have my heart. Yeah.
And that was the first part of it. That's just the first part. And it's so important to understand, the fears and the bonuses, the negatives and the positives as you put out. Yeah. And then in the second one, you say that you want to get clear of those fears and desires. So the second part is doing much like what you said, taking that, understanding it, reflecting on it, and, by writing it down, what that is, and taking control of it and doing something about it.
Yeah. Whenever you bring something to the forefront of your mind, you start to see the patterns. So your reticular activating system kicks in, your RAS. And so you start to see when you go, oh, I can't buy that, or you'll feel yourself. You notice your body, or you'll notice a reaction to something. As I say, I've been doing this, for 15 years or so, but I noticed recently that I used to mock the romance genre of billionaire romance.
Yes.
And it came to me one day that was about my belief around billionaires. That was too obscene an amount of money for people to have. And yet there are so many examples of billionaires who are doing fantastic things in the world, with their money.
Yes.
But I was looking at a couple and using those people who, as far as I'm aware, are just in it for the money. And I was using them as my gauge of what a billionaire was. And so it kind of pulled me back. But that's where the reticular activating system comes in. Once you bring it to the forefront of your mind, you'll start to see patterns happening. You'll catch yourself doing things, or you'll see things, and you just watch. So when you recognize it, you can then take action about it or not take action. I mean, you don't have to, but it's better to take action and actually say, well, I'm holding myself back here by this belief. Let's change it. But you have to be aware of what the belief is firstly.
So let me ask you a difficult question.
Okay.
Are you going to be offering this money empowerment boot camp to others? Because I mean, it's, just going through what I've gone through with it has been so invigorating. And I just, it's like one of those things that you just want to shout out, hey, everybody needs to do this. And the sooner you do it, the sooner you can rewire your brain and feel confident in your business and in earning the money that you feel like you should be making without having all that weight of guilt, baggage, all the suitcases, you can chunk those. We're going to do a backpack now.
Yeah. How the money empowerment course came about was I've been working with a group of VIP clients, and we were doing business planning, marketing tactics, all those sorts of things. And it became evident to me that I can teach those things and I can show you, and I'm really good at it. And this fabulous group of women were just embracing it and really putting it into practice, but there were still some things getting in their way.
I noticed
And
that myself. They were self-sabotaging themselves.
yes, you'd see them, and then they'd hit a wall, and then so they'd pull right back, and you just go, and it's not about the doing. It wasn't about that, the fact they weren't doing the right marketing activity or any of those things. It was about the mindset. And so it really was, for me, I guess I have never put this out there before, this particular course. It was quite personal. And I went, no, I actually need to share this because this could be of value to people. And so I guess, and I shared it with the VIP group, and the feedback has just been so fantastic from it. And I think it's just validated it for me.
Yes.
And that's
part.
Yes, yeah, and just seeing where the leaps and the jumps that they've just made in the last couple of months, just from going through this, the boot camp, have just been phenomenal. And so definitely I'm putting it out there for other people, because often in our journey as authors, in building your business, you can do all the right things, but it may not be coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that, to me, mindset's the secret sauce. And if I can help anybody with improving their mindset or just getting that really strong, then definitely, I would do that. So I'll put a link in the,
in the description.
box, and so if people want to have a look at it, and come join us and just see.
Become
if it
empowered.
works. Yes.
Take control.
Yes.
Toss the baggage. Get rid of the fear.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
You're welcome. Fear has no hold on us when we shine a light on it. It's the dark. And, when fear hides in the dark. So this is what this is about, is just bringing it into the light and just going, you're out of here. I'm moving on. So, come join us in the light.
Thank you again for sharing this with us. And don't forget to check out the link below that is going to be in the description, so that you can be part of the Money Empowerment Bootcamp and change the way you think and the amount you can earn.
Love that.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya. Bye.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. We've got way more information we want to share with you to increase your book sales. So please come and join me at facebook.com. Get my book out there.